The red wedding happened. And then Matt Dinniman walks in and I'm like, okay, so it was Japanese. Take me back to Aria. Everyone tells me the book 3 of Game of Thrones is the best book, so yeah, I'm kind of really excited to get into it, and this will be the main book of the vlog. But before we get into talking about that, hi, hello, I'm Cass. Welcome to a new reading vlog. I have so many things that I'm going to be doing in this reading vlog, and it'll kind of take place over a big span of time, not only because I think A Storm of Swords will take me literally forever to get through. It is literally 50 pages shy of 1,000 pages, so in my head, it's basically 1,000 pages, but I also have so much going on and so many events that I'm doing and preparing for and sharing with you all, so I want to be able to make sure that I can share all these things with you as they come up and also experience some really good books. So like I said, book 3 of Game of Thrones is like the main book of the vlog, the book that I am so keen to get to, a book that everyone says is the best book in the series, and I cannot wait to experience why people feel that way. I loved the second book. I actually am buddy reading the series with my friend Manu, and she said she didn't love the second book that much, and I don't know why, but I ate that book up. I think it's just because it was peak political fantasy, and I love political fantasy so much. And to recap the second book, basically everyone was like, I'm king. And then other people were like, no, I'm king. You can't be king. And then they all go try to kill each other. So that basically sums up the second book. And I love the don't know who to trust, the political backstabbing, the alliances that are forming. So much happened in that book. And I loved it. I think this is the book with the red wedding, which I know a lot of people go, eh. I have been spoiled for one character death, which, to be frank, is kind of impressive because my timeline has been showing me so much Game of Thrones things, and it's making me so mad because I have gone so many years without getting spoiled, without having content fed to me, and suddenly I'm reading the book and the algorithm knows that. And yeah, I've gotten one spoiler, okay? Which, in the grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal. Kind of sad about it though. We'll talk about it, but we won't, because obviously I don't want to spoil for you. Another book that I want to pick up is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher, which is going to be an interesting one because all T. Kingfisher books that I have picked up I haven't really liked. So this one hopefully will be different, mostly because it is a fantasy romance, so it's different than her like fairy tale retellings, which I don't think are really up my alley, and they're very outside of what I enjoy. I've heard really, really good things about this one. I've heard also that if you don't like other T. Kingfisher books, maybe you'll like this one. So I am trusting the people. I'm trusting my best friend who recommended me this book and actually chose this book for a TBR video as well. We have a sentient sword, which honestly improves any book. So hopefully this is a good one. And then the last book that I want to read is actually a romance book called How to Write a Love Story. This is not how to end a love story because how to end a love story was garbage. So we can't end a love story, but we are going to learn how to write a love story. No, I'm kidding. In this one, we are following Sierra and Sam works at a book publishing house and has been tasked to help Sierra write her late father's finale in her massive series. Think Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan being completed by Brandon Sanderson, except for Brandon Sanderson was Robert Jordan's daughter. That's the premise of the book. That is how highly loved and well reclaimed this book series is in this fictional world. Sierra decided to be like, yes, I will finish the final book. Like, I know my father's work inside and out. I have access to his notes. I know, like, I was there. I was there when it was written. And then she takes on and realizes maybe she's bitten more than she can chew. Obviously, romance must ensue between Sam and Sierra. And I feel like there's going to be some animosity between these characters because Sam is also a massive fan of the series. And I think Sierra, being obviously the daughter of the author, like, they're gonna butt heads on some things. I have actually started this one. I'm actually 3 chapters in. I'm reading it on Libby and it's been fun so far. I don't immediately hate it, which is not really high praise to say, but I borrowed like a bunch of romance books like back to back to back, read a few chapters, and I was like, what is in these books? Because none of them are good. So when I started Catherine Walsh's story, I was like, please, 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 please be good. And I'm actually having a good time. This seems like a romance book that I will enjoy. I've just been really picky with them for some reason lately, but this one seems up my alley and I'm already really enjoying the characters, and the premise is just so fun that we're reading a book about writers. I always think that's like a really fun, like, meta sort of moment. So hopefully it'll be a good time. But like I said, A Storm of Swords is my main goal, as well as Sword Heart, which, speaking of swords, what a perfect segue for me to talk about my shop update, which will be happening. Actually, by the time you see this, it's already happened. So everything I talk about and do and show in this vlog, it is available for you to purchase if you so would like. We have some new sword bookmarks, we have some new maps added to my shop. Very, very exciting things. But on that same vein, I am going to Gen Con, which is the largest tabletop role-playing convention in North America. It gets around 77,000 attendees, and I will be going there to teach people how to draw maps. If you don't know, I'm a fantasy cartographer, so I work with a lot of authors to draw their maps for their novels, and I am so excited to be taking my knowledge and passing it forward, which is very exciting. We're going to be prepping for Gen Con. I will show you me actually going to Gen Con. I don't know how much footage I will gather, but footage will be shown. I am also going to Flip Fest, which is in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is a gymnastics retreat camp situation. I'll be returning to Ancient Lore Village, which is like this Hobbit-inspired village. I'll be watching the first Lord of the Rings movie with my friend, which is so exciting. So many fun things, and I cannot wait to get into all of them. But first, I kind of made a mess of my room. I recently filmed like a massive book haul talking about all the books that I read in the first 6 months of the year, and I need to put all of them back onto my shelves. So we're gonna do a little bit of reorganizing of my shelves, putting books back on my shelf, and then I will come back with you when I have a proper reading update. And yeah, I'm so excited for this vlog, and I hope you guys are as well. Reading has been done, you guys, and I cannot wait to talk you through all of these. I leave for Gen Con so very soon, which is really, really exciting, but also reality is kind of setting in and I still have a lot to do that I've just really been putting off. But it's fine because I have reading updates for you, and that is what's going to take precedent. I first want to talk about How to End a Love Story by Catherine Walsh. I am 75% of the way through this book and on chapter 26. And I am really enjoying these characters. Like I said in the intro, we have Sam and we have Sierra. And Sam finally made it to Ireland to visit Sierra and see what's going on, what the progress is looking like. And he finds out that she hasn't really written anything, or so she says. So there's a lot of butting heads straight away between these characters because Sierra is insistent that she has massive writer's block and she just is overwhelmed and she doesn't think she can do it. And Sam thinks that he's giving her an out by saying, okay, like, we can just hire a ghostwriter and still like put your name on it if that's something that you want to do. Sierra takes massive offense to that, and there ends up being a lot of arguments between them before Sam kind of reconciles and says, listen, I didn't say that you couldn't do it. I just thought you might not have wanted to. Sierra's like, no, I do. I just haven't felt like anything I've written so far has been good. However, I will say the transition between them not really liking each other and Sierra not writing to them suddenly like getting on and like moving this book along was like really abrupt. I feel like it was just like between chapters, suddenly everything was cool, everything was good. But Sierra has been taking Sam to different places that her dad found inspiration for key points in her book, which has been really fun to see that, you know, Sam is definitely like keeping things professional, but inside he's such a fanboy over the series and is just really protective over the characters, almost as much so as Sierra is. Although Sierra is sometimes trying to make decisions that Sam's like, no, no, no. No, 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 no. And one of my favorite bits that sort of pushed this romance along was Sierra was talking about writing like a spicy scene. And she's like, I don't think I have it in me. Like, I don't think when I'm making out with someone or like being intimate with someone and then they get all like hot and bothered. Then they make out. And Sierra's like, dang, like I said, like I don't pay attention. So it's like they were doing like research for the book by making out, and then Sierra was like so hot and bothered that she forgot to even like pay attention, which was really cute. At this point, however, there has been a little bit of a leak in the fact that Sierra has been keeping things really, really close to the chest about the fact that she's the one writing the story and that there's even a story coming out. So the fact that the story is coming out has been leaked and there's a lot of panic, but I don't know. We're at the point, you know, where like the third act breakup typically happens, and I don't know what they would argue about. At this point, they're not really like together. They've had a lot of like moments, but there hasn't really been any moments where they're like, this is an official relationship or whatever, because I think they're still trying to keep the boundary like semi-professional, because Sam is technically like working for Sierra and Sierra also has to like fulfill the contract of writing the book. So there's like a little bit of a gray area in terms of like this professional relationship between them. So I'm really curious to see like what they're gonna fight about, because I don't know at this point if they're even like together to even like have a third act breakup, you know. But I really enjoy Catherine Walsh's character work and her writing as well. A lot of romances lately have been misses for me, so it's really refreshing to finally read a book that I like the characters and I love the environment. They're in Sierra's dad's old house and it's just like set in this tiny town in Ireland, and since it's such a small town, everyone's such a busybody and they're, you know, influencing these two characters to kind of like get together by just being meddling basically. So it's just been a really, really fun read. I really enjoyed it. And I also did start Sword Heart as well, so I made some progress into that book. I am 112 pages in, which is chapter 16, so nice chunk into Sword Heart, and I'm also really enjoying this one as well, which is really refreshing. Didn't know if I would or not. I just was not expecting the intro. Like, I knew what the first line was and it intrigued me. Hala inherited her wealthy uncle's estate, basically, and all of his belongings, but her piece of garbage family literally locks her in her room and does not let her out until she agrees to marry her cousin, because she was married and then she's now a widow, and they're like, let's keep it in the family because they want her to be legally binded to her cousin, for then they could take all the money and then probably just like kill Hala and get her out of the way just to get a hold of the family wealth. So Hala is in the room literally trying to figure out how to kill herself, which is insane to jump right into a book and have that be the moment that you're introduced to this character. and she's trying to figure out what she can use, and she comes across this sword. So she draws the sword and out pops Sarkis. So I think in the intro I said that it was a sentient sword, but instead it's actually like a person trapped inside of the sword. But when you draw the sword, this person comes out, and this person is Sarkis. So Sarkis rescues her, and they are out and about and free from the estate, trying to figure out their game plan and their next move. Now Hala, we learn, is a very trusting and very innocent character. Like, she just sees the good in everyone, and she keeps getting bamboozled by horrible people, and it's so frustrating to see. And Sarkis also shares that frustration as well, not necessarily at Hala, but at the fact that she can't be this innocent person in this world because she'll get taken advantage of. But Sarkis also has kind of a sad history. He has been used as a weapon countless times, and there's been times where whoever is the master of the sword like won't even let him speak. There was one, he said, that they literally cut out his tongue for years so he could not speak, which is foul. So Hala, being so caring and concerned about Sarkis's comfort and well-being, is really, really new for Sarkis. Like, he's not used to that. And just seeing his walls kind of break down around Hala as well has been so good. There's been some really cute setup scenes where they're slowly growing closer as characters, and I'm just really curious to see where this story is going. At this point, they're just on the run from her family, and they haven't made any like concrete plans about what's to come in their future. They're just trying to get away and try to get to somewhere safe. And I love a adventure novel, you guys know this, and I have been really enjoying Hala and Sarkis and their characters and their adventure as well. We're not that far into it, but Hala, as innocent and as like naive I would say she is, she has a lot of grit and a lot of determination and a lot of depth to her character, and I'm just really keen to explore that throughout the rest of the book. I'm delighted that I am enjoying a T. Kingfisher book. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to find one that I love, but this one has been really, really fun so far, and I'm excited to continue to follow along their journey. And then as for A Song of Swords, A Storm of Swords, not a song, I am a whopping 6 pages in. I don't actually have anything to report. However, I will be continuing this on very soon. I have the audiobook borrowed, so I will be listening to it probably while I travel to Gen Con, which is so soon. I'm not ready. Like, I'm not ready mentally or in the physical sense of all the things I needed to have prepared and I need to pack, and oh my gosh, you guys, I'm just really overwhelmed, but I'm excited, I think. So I'm gonna do a little bit more reading, and then I'll catch up with you before I head to Gen Con. haven't really done that much more reading. I think when Gen Con is over, I'm gonna get a lot more reading done, but right now leading up to Gen Con, I have not been able to do that much reading. I literally leave for Gen Con tomorrow, which is very, very exciting, but also really nerve-wracking, and I've just been working all day trying to get things done. I just haven't really been in an audiobook mood, I'm gonna be honest, so I've been listening to a lot of music. So I haven't been able to multitask and be productive with the reading, but I did end up finishing How to Write a Love Story. I actually could not remember where I recognized this author's name from, and I didn't look into it until after I had marked it read. And turns out Catherine Walsh wrote Holiday Romance and Snowed In, which were some of my favorite romance books from last year that I read during the holiday season. And that really makes a lot of sense because I really enjoyed Catherine Walsh's character work in this book. The ending was actually so sad, but how things really played out ended up for the greater good. So that was a relief to see. Overall though, I had a really fun time. It wasn't like a new favorite romance by any means. I did end up purchasing a copy because it was one that I wanted on my shelves, so if that gives you any indication as to how much I liked it. But again, it wasn't like a 5-star new favorite romance book, but I really, really enjoyed the characters and the setting as well. I loved the moments in particular when Sierra was writing and Sam was there as well editing, when they were both at Sierra's place, which is this really old house in rural Ireland. I just really enjoyed the setting and the atmosphere, and it felt very like, well, it is a tiny town, but it also had that like tiny town aspect, and I love any books with tiny towns, as well as a really, really supportive best friend who I really hope gets their own novel, like their spin-off or what have you. I love when we get characters introduced in book 1 and like a little inkling of some romance, and then we get them as like main characters in the next book. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. And I think Catherine Walsh has definitely earned her spot on like an auto read author for me, especially with her romances. So I look forward to seeing what else she ends up writing because I really, really enjoyed this one. Also, I think it's hard to not enjoy books where we're talking about writers and readers, you know? But as you saw from the B-roll, I did a little bit of work at Barnes & Noble, and I decided to treat myself to a book after getting said work done. It was pretty much planning my workshops, which I have been really, really nervous for. So here's hoping that they go well because they're still not even fully fleshed out. But you know what? I will deal with the consequences of my action later on. But I did end up picking up 3 books, which, listen, I know. I literally said in my book haul that I was going to slowly buy Got You Akata and I wasn't going to like buy the entire series. Now this is not the entire series, but I did buy 3 books as a pre-con treat to myself, so that's fun. We have volume 4, lovely. We have volume 5, stunning. We have volume 6. Amazing. They didn't have volume 3, and the last time I had gone, they also didn't have volume 3, so I took it as a sign that I should just order it from elsewhere, so that's what I ended up doing. I'm really excited to get back into Gachi Akuta, and I will definitely be reading volume 3 very shortly after it comes in because I love this manga so much. And I love the art style, and I love the cover designs, and I'm so happy that I am collecting another manga. My bank account is maybe a little less happy about me collecting mangas, but I am very, very happy about it. I can't remember if I mentioned this in the intro or not, but I am going to be visiting Sydney. We're going to go and get lunch and we're going to do some book shopping the first day that I am in Indianapolis, and I am very, very excited to see her. We became friends a couple of years ago and I got to meet her last year when I went to Gen Con, so I will always be meeting up with her when I'm in Indianapolis, and this time is no exception. So without further ado, I'll probably cut to the book shopping, then maybe some Gen Con stuff, and then I'll come back with you after Gen Con, hopefully doing some more reading. I don't know how busy I'll be at Gen Con to be doing any reading, and my flights are pretty early in the morning, so I probably will be sleeping. I will try to do as much reading as I possibly can though, and I will definitely come back with you with an update when I have an update for you. Hopefully being further into Game of Thrones, because I know I was like, this is the main book of the vlog, and I've read none of it. But yeah, let's go to Gen Con. Tacos. Taco. Yay! Tink. Cheers. I can't do I am back from Gen Con, and y'all, I have so many things that have happened, so many stories to share, and then I also have a nice reading update for you all. I think I will start with the reading update, and then I will talk about the absolute craziness that was Gen Con. That also has been other things going on as well. So I am now about 25% of the way through A Storm of Swords, so quarter of the way in, making some progress. There's no chapter numbers. 236 is what page I am on, 25% of the way through the audiobook. It doesn't really look like I'm a quarter of the way through, but I don't know. I guess the math is sort of mathing. Anyways, loving this. Are we surprised? We should not be surprised, quite frankly. I just love the politics of this book so much, and it has been keeping me on the edge of my seat this entire time. Right now, there's something happening or has potential to happen with Sansa and with Tyrion, and I'm really, really keen to see how that situation plays out, because part of me is like, surely this is not going to play out like this. And the other part of me is like, oh my gosh, but what if it does play out? Like, what does that mean for our characters? Arya is in a sticky situation as well. And oh my gosh, all of these characters. John's in a sticky situation. John's in the worst possible situation. He's going through it right now. Oh my gosh, guys, it's so many moving pieces, and it seems like word travels so fast and secrets cannot be kept. And it has just been so satisfying and also so frustrating to see everything playing out. Something else that I really, really liked was the fact that like every bully has like a bully that they're afraid of, or like every bully has like their parent who like they're afraid of. And we kind of had that situation with Cersei, and it was so funny because Cersei's kind of like a big bad in this book. Like, she is a conniving, scheming woman. And so for her father to come in and like start moving parts around, and that includes her life as well, it's so satisfying, and I cannot wait to see all of these characters eventually, hopefully, get their comeuppance, because wow, so many things are happening. It's been so great, and I cannot wait to get to the Red Wedding, which I know is up and coming. They're talking about Joffrey's wedding right now. I am so curious to see like what's gonna come of that. I know literally nothing other than one thing. So I've avoided spoilers, I've done a good job, and I want to continue that that energy as well. Something else that's really exciting that I'm going to be doing in the coming days is actually drawing my Game of Thrones map, which I've been very, very eager to get to. I was really worried about spoilers, but something has occurred where I am willing to risk the spoilers to get this map done in time. I got accepted to Fan Expo Dallas, which is literally in a little over 30 days, which is insane work. One, I have to go to Dallas to do all of this, and two, why does it always seem like I have the shortest notice when it comes to events? Yeah, so I've done Artist Alley twice in the past, and both times I had very, very short notice to prepare. And once again, same thing is happening. This go around though, I have 3 new maps that I would love to get done in time. So ambitious, kind of out of pocket, like there's no way, but part of me is like, but what if I can? But I also got accepted to MegaCon, which is a big anime or Comic-Con here in Orlando, but that's next May. So I do have some time to prepare for that. But Gen Con was so successful, so incredible. I got to see so many of my friends. I've got to make new friends as well. My workshops went so good. Guys, I was so happy hosting these workshops and sharing my knowledge with everybody and seeing them like use the knowledge that I gave them to draw their own maps. It was so heartwarming to see. I honestly thought I'd be a lot more stressed with everything going on, but I feel like I managed pretty well, especially because I was up so late every single evening being like a party animal. Not really, guys. I'm not a party animal at all, but I got invited. Well, one of my friends that I was hanging out with, he is kind of big in like the D&D industry. So I basically was like his +1 to these parties with people that were really big again in the D&D space. But it's really fun meeting people when you have like no idea who they are, because it takes off that pressure of like recognizing and knowing people. I also, guys, this is so funny. Okay, so imagine this. I'm sat in a hotel lobby chatting with a bunch of my friends, and I keep looking over because I'm like, huh, That guy kind of looks like Jeff Hayes. That's funny. Guys, I'm so glad I didn't go up to him and be like, oh, you look like Jeff Hayes and like Tony Hawk him. I did not do that. But I kept looking over being like, no, he like really looked, that's so weird. But like I kept having my conversation and then Matt Dinham walks in and I'm like, okay, so it was Jeff Hayes. Honestly, like for how mega popular he is, because I met him last year at Dragon Con and like I not signed up, but I went to like a meet and greet. I got my book signed, like did the whole thing. So I had met him before and he was really, really popular then, but the level he is on now is like insane. So the fact that he could just walk in to the lobby of this hotel where like a bunch of people are milling about and not get like immediately swarmed by everyone was really a show of character between like everybody there. Like we all kind of like took turns chatting with him because, you know, he was making his rounds, but we also gave him space too. So like that was so cool. But anyways, at one point I find like a little bit of an opening and I kind of go up there and I'm like, hey, I am a map maker and I want to know because I heard in an interview that you have an extensive map that you drew in VR of the Iron Tangle, which if you don't know, in the third book of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, there is this like elaborate train system. And I'm like, are you ever going to release that map? Because I want to see it, because I want to map it. And he's like, oh, like, I'm not totally sure, but I'd love to get your card. And I was like, oh yeah, I've got you. And I like gave him my card. And my friend who was with me has not read the series. He knows of it, but then he starts hyping me up like a little bit too much. I'm like, Will, stop it. But it was so cool, like, to have that little interaction. Not expecting anything from it, but it's a fun story to tell now, so that's why I'm telling you all. After I walked away though, I definitely gave myself like a little moment to be like, oh my god, like what just happened? Like that was crazy, like how did I get here? But like the whole weekend was just so lovely and I am already looking forward to next year as well. So there's my little tidbits of Gen Con. I honestly got so little footage. I was so like in the moment doing everything and like being so busy. I also, guys, I learned how to play Magic the Gathering. I did play when I was a child, okay? And I learned how to play with like the commander method, which is like totally new from what I remember as a child. And I was talking to someone and I was like, when did this whole like commander thing come about? And she was like, I think about like 15 years ago. And I'm like, that checks out why I've never heard of it since I think 15 years ago was the last time I played Magic the Gathering. It was so much fun though. Guys, I'm kind of wanting to go out and like buy a deck. Like I have decks, but like they're really old. So I'm debating like, should I get into playing Magic? I borrowed a friend's deck and then proceeded to absolutely steamroll both of my friends in a 1v1 competition. But I'd love to have a deck at least for next year when I probably play with people again. I can like understand my deck and not just like play a friend's deck, not really know anything about it. That is like so besides the point though. This is a reading vlog, okay? I swear. I will be continuing to read more of A Storm of Swords. I also really want to finish up Sword Heart. I haven't made it any further in this. So that is the rest of the reading plans for the vlog. We got a long way to go, which is totally fine, guys. It's totally fine. I am heading to Tennessee for a gymnastics camp. I don't even know if I mentioned any of that, but I'm also going back to Ancient Lore Village because my friend wants to watch Lord of the Rings. It's gonna be her first time watching Lord of the Rings, and we're gonna be watching it in this like little Hobbit hotel, which is gonna be so cute and so much fun. But I also have like a little bit of prep work that I'm doing before we leave in terms of like my shop stuff. So I'm gonna do a whole bunch of stuff. Please enjoy the next bits of whatever the heck I end up doing. I just know it's a lot of stuff, and then I'll come back with you when I have done some reading and tell you about my adventure again.
I finally have a bunch of reading updates for you guys. I have made crazy progress into A Storm of Swords, and I have also finally finished Sword Heart. Guys, I'm so excited to announce that this was a 5-star read for me. I loved every single second of this book, and there were so many moments where I was genuinely laughing out loud, which was low-key kind of funny because I was mostly reading this book around other people, so I'm over here like giggling to myself for reading this book. Just to hammer home how much I was enjoying this book, during the Lord of the Rings movie watch party or what have you, we were watching the extended edition, and you know how there's like 2 CDs? After the first half, I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna go back to the Hobbit hole and just like wind down for bed. And then I proceeded to go and read Sword Heart and finish up Sword Heart because I was enjoying Lord of the Rings, yes, but I wanted to read Sword Heart even more than I wanted to watch the second half of Lord of the Rings. I found the dynamic between Hala and Sarkis to be very, very refreshing because they are such polar opposites, and yet they got on so well, and they both ended up, you know, falling for one another with all of their flaws and all of their differences. And oh my gosh, I cannot wait for the second book to come out, which is literally happening at the end of this month, which is quite exciting. So already so happy that I found a wonderful 5-star read. And then as for A Storm of Swords, this book has been insane. I've been listening to a lot of it on audiobook because I actually have been working on rapidly drawing some new maps. I am sketching Hoenn and I am sketching Sinnoh, and then I will probably work on sketching the Game of Thrones map, but I'm procrastinating just because I know this one's gonna take me a little bit longer than my Pokemon maps. But all of that aside, I have made crazy progress into this book. I am on page 612, so I have a little over 300 pages left before the end, and so much has been happening. The Red Wedding happened, which is not what I expected, which honestly made me very happy. Well, okay, the events of the Red Wedding didn't make me happy, but the fact that I thought I got spoiled for something, or I thought that the Red Wedding was a certain wedding, and then it ended up being a different wedding, so it caught me off guard. So the spoiler that I had gotten wasn't actually as bad as I thought, because now I'm really confused about when this certain event actually occurs. RIP a couple of more of our POVs that we've been reading about. May they rest in peace. When the wedding was happening and everyone was, you know, meeting up and what have you, things were going a little too smoothly, which definitely made me very, very suspicious. And my suspicions were unfortunately very well founded. I am also really stressed because something also occurred to another character. They literally arrived at the worst possible moment ever, and they just, oh my gosh. And now I'm really confused because I don't know if they're dead or not, because it's implied that they're dead, but I swear that they're later in this book as well. So I'm holding my breath waiting for their POV to crop up again because I need them. I need them. I'm trying to be as vague as possible for I don't spoil anything, but it's just been absolute insanity. I will say though, I was really, really hoping that this was going to be like 5-star, the best Game of Thrones book there is. And so far, like, it's been really good and I've enjoyed it about as much as the other books that I've read in the Game of Thrones series. However, it doesn't quite have that 5-star feel to it, but that's not to say I'm not having a splendid time, especially because the audiobook is really, really well done. And I've really enjoyed just sitting and like listening to it for hours and hours at a time, which I will continue to do today as well, because today is the day I am packing the orders from my shop update, which there were fewer than I had hoped, but honestly, any sales that I get make me happy, so I'm really not complaining too much. But I am going to go ahead and take the time to pack my orders and continue to listen to the audiobook. I don't know if I'm gonna finish the audiobook today, but I definitely am gonna sit down and finish this book today, whether that be really late tonight or hopefully sooner than that. It just depends. Like I said earlier in my updates, I've just really, really been busy and things just keep piling onto my schedule, which makes it a little difficult to balance everything. However, I lucked out yesterday because I got called for a flight attendant trip and those flights got canceled. I basically ended up with a bonus day off that I was not expecting. Granted, annoyingly, I still had to go to the airport, so that did take a chunk out of my day. However, once I got there, they were like, you don't actually have to be here. And I was like, well, that's really nice to know. Why didn't you tell me this before I showed up? But all in all, you know what? I was happy to have just the rest of the night to spend drawing and listening to my audiobook, which honestly, that's all I want to do today is just listen to my audiobook and draw some more. But it is my one day off before another 4-day block and the last day of this vlog because I need to get this finished before I can post it in time. So I do have to try to finish this book today. I'm gonna go ahead though and pack some orders and continue listening to the audiobook of A Storm of Swords. I feel like I may have kind of a hot take, which is that I think I enjoyed the second book more than the third book, which is kind of crazy because I really thought the third book was going to be like the pinnacle, the best of the best. And honestly, like, I really enjoyed this book, do not get me wrong. However, I feel like the thing that made this book memorable, I would say, are just all of the deaths, which, you know, were fine and dandy. However, I just really enjoyed, like, the conniving and the political backstabbing that was so heavily prominent in A Clash of Kings. But that's not to say, like I mentioned, that this book was not phenomenal. The ending when I tell you the epilogue got me so good that I did not see coming, and I am very, very happy about it. I will say, I really, really love Sansa and Arya. I love their POVs so much. Sansa has grown on me a lot, mostly because that poor child has gone through so many traumatic things and just deserves to be a child. And we actually got a scene at the end where it was like, I was almost crying, you guys. Like, she was able to be a kid for like half a second before some man came in and started being slimy and disgusting, which is pretty much all of the men in this book, which I think is kind of frustrating to read about, if we're being honest, because I keep getting attached to characters, or again, this book is so long and it has so many POVs, right? So I'll get really attached to a character and how they're having such an interesting redemption arc, but then I think back of how they acted and the things that they did and the actions they took and the words they spoke, and then I get all disgusted all over again, where I'm like, well, yeah, it's satisfying for them to have a redemption arc, but do I really want these vile men redeemed? Because I don't think any of them really deserve redemption at this point. And that's so frustrating to read about characters that are so interesting and they have so many layers. But again, they're foul. They are so foul and so disgusting, and how they speak to people continue to be that way. So I'm really, really enjoy Arya and Sansa's chapters. I like being in their head, but most of the other chapters, I'm like, get me out of these people's heads. Like, I do not want to be a part of your thoughts or hear your thoughts or anything to do with them, because they always are just foul. They're so foul. One random thought also crossed my mind as I was reading most of Jon's chapters is Jon gets a lot of shit for being a bastard, which honestly pisses me off so much. He did not ask to be born in such a dishonest way. So why, riddle me this, why is his father treated and revered and respected when Jon himself has to suffer the consequences of his father's actions and his father's dishonesty? And he gets so much crap for being bastard born. And I'm like, as if the man had a choice. Like, why are we shaming bastards? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Anyways, that thought crossed my mind, although I really like to see how far Jon had come with where he started as to where he ended up in the end of this book. I am keen to see where he ends up and what ends up happening with his character arc, because, oh my god, that poor boy has gone through so much as well. Like, there are so many moments where I'm just snapped back into reality of like, oh, these are like children. Like, these are little children that have the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they should never have to suffer the fate that they are suffering. It honestly is just bringing me back to the moment when we meet all of the characters, and the Starks especially, how they're one big happy family. And as the series has progressed, they're not one big or happy at this point whatsoever. And it's been crushing to read about and crushing to read these moments where these characters are going through so much and there's so much despair and so little hope. And I'm really nervous to see how the 5th book ends off. Obviously, this is only book 3, so I still have 2 more books to get through. Very long books, mind you. However, knowing that there is no solid conclusion, I think is now getting to the point where it's grating on my nerves, where I'm like, wow, it's such, like, there's so much disarray, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon, so I'm sure I'm going to discover the joy of another unfinished series. Overall, though, I did really enjoy my experience reading A Storm of Swords. I've really enjoyed the Game of Thrones series. I really don't think, though, it's like a new favorite series of mine. Like, I see myself one day revisiting it, but it doesn't seem like a series that's gripping me to reread it, and I think it's just because so much happens and it is a very slow-moving book. There are just some POVs where I don't really care about their characters and they drag on so much. It's like Whiplash. I'm like, take me back to Arya. Like, I'm tired of being this man's head. Like, switch me back to my girly. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Like, I feel like I should be enjoying it and being like, whoa, like, this is so good on so many levels. But honestly, the things that have happened and that have been the most satisfying are just a lot of deaths, if we're being honest. But most of them were very, very sad in this book. And at this point, I'm just attached to no one, which everyone warned me, like, don't get attached to anyone. But George R.R. Martin apparently is not even attached to his own characters at the rate he's killing them off. So there are my thoughts for A Storm of Swords. I'm, of course, very excited to get into the 4th book, although I'll probably take a pause and let my friend catch up because we are supposed to be buddy reading this. I don't know if she started at all, but that's besides the point. I also read Sword Heart, so we got some sword theming going on here, and we did find a 5-star read, which was very, very exciting for me. I'm glad I waited until this month to read it, so I don't have to wait so long between this book and the next book, so I will definitely be picking up the second. I think it's called Dagger Heart, or Daggermouth? There's so many like dagger blanks going out right now that are popular, I think. So I think it's Dagger Heart. That sounds right, but it could be wrong. I don't know. And to wrap things up, I also read How to Write a Love Story, which I now own because I enjoyed it enough to pick up a copy for my shelf and have it on my shelf. I don't know where else I was going with that. All in all, a pretty solid couple of weeks of reading. A lot of reading, if we're being honest. Like, obviously, A Storm of Swords alone is absolutely humongous, but, you know, good solid amount of reading. I hope that you enjoyed watching. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on all of these. If you did enjoy, please do consider subscribing or liking the video or commenting or doing all 3. And I really do hope to see you guys in future videos. Toodles!